Guys, welcome to part 1 of our insane run tutorials for Aliens Fireteam Elite. There are lots of other great videos out there that show people's insane runs in this game. This video series though really focuses on the tips and tricks at important points in each of the levels to get you through those levels on insane difficulty. There are 3 cards that we use throughout these runs: Ammo Hoarder, High Caliber, and I think we've got them demoralized. We used Ammo Hoarder most of the time, High Caliber some of the time, but honestly we should have used, I think we've got them demoralized more than we did. I am going to show these runs using 3 real players, and the reason for that is because a key part of our strategies are holding certain doors open, which you can't do when you've got bots. I'm going to be running Demolisher for the entirety of the insane runs, and then Killer and Dale are going to alternate between Doc, Technician, Gunner, and Recon depending on the particular mission we're doing. You will obviously want very optimized builds and weapons for each of your classes. Check out some links in the description for various guides we use to build those builds for ourselves. Most of these videos are going to be sped up, and then we'll slow down and cover details about the important parts of the mission, such as holding doors or other specific actions when we get to those places. If you're looking for a specific mission or an encounter, then check the timestamps below so you can jump straight to it. So here we are in Mission 1, Act 1. Right now we're Demolisher, Gunner, and Technician. So the first part of this first mission is pretty straightforward. You can just run through this. We do look for caches constantly through these runs because the extra consumables you sometimes get in them are very useful. The hidden prowlers are a major nuisance on these runs, as one hit from them can really decimate your health. So a little later we will be showing some good tips and techniques about how to detect those. Okay, so here's the first of the areas where we're going to intentionally keep a door open. So have somebody stay behind this door while the others go into the room to trigger the enemies. And then everybody stay behind the door and let the enemies come to you, funneling into a straight line. If you're running a doc class with a suppression station, then do put that down in the entranceway there. And have your DPS character do all the kills and throw out all your shock coils if you got those, or any other form of suppression. Your aim is to have the enemies gather up at that entrance so they can be killed, but not come in and overwhelm you. Other than the big boss enemies, the most dangerous enemy in these insane runs is the Spitter. One hit with that acid can take a chunk of your health out, so you will want to prioritize them, hopefully with weapons or abilities that stumble or stun, enabling you to keep them stun locked and just kill them.
The exits are sealed by Honecker, probably. Release the locks. Anyway, I'm thinking we can track the doctor using station logs. I found a data access point, but it's further in. Concentrate on getting the power up.
You will normally have enemies to fight at this corner, so again, be prepared. And as you know, you will have aliens continually spawning to help move you along, so always have somebody on your team looking at the mini-map to keep an eye behind you. Okay, so here's our first lockdown room. Pick up the items you need as quick as you can, because again, you are going to get continuous little spawns of enemies.
Check this out.
Have somebody put a turret on this box at the very top, as this helps both do damage to the aliens and it distracts them. They don't like those turrets, and because it's so high, it's pretty hard for them to get to. Then you're going to have one person go start the encounter, while everyone else heads down to the area where you entered this room. The enemies are going to spawn from this direction, so we're going to stand in this area and shoot them as they come. Sometimes you are going to have enemies spawning in this area where we're standing, so you'll just have to deal with those if that happens for the first little while, then they'll start spawning from across the bridge. Again, use suppression gadgets or abilities if you have them. Kill anything that comes across that bridge. Prioritize the spitters when they appear. And remember, you're going to get a warrior or some other red boss enemy, which will often spawn right next to you, so again, be prepared for that. As you can see, we do a lot of spamming of rocket missiles, spamming of the grenade launcher, and overclock, and all sorts of other abilities to quickly deal with those enemies. Now, if you are using, I think we've got them demoralized, instead of ammo hoarder, then these red enemies are much, much easier to deal with, but obviously you'll have less ammo to deal with as well. Now, in this hallway on the way to the next encounter, you are often going to get a drone. And you definitely want to hold this door. Again, this means somebody stands on this side of the door while everyone else goes forward to trigger the enemies, then comes back. If the drone appears and you don't kill it outright and it gets away, you do definitely just want to wait there until the drone comes back and deal with it, rather than going ahead and triggering yet another encounter and having to deal with that and the drone. Okay, our drone is dead now. So Killer's going to go ahead and trigger the encounter, and we're just going to stay back behind this door and let everything come towards us. About 2/3 of the way through this encounter, we're going to get aliens spawning very close to us on the right there. So just be prepared for that. Again, suppression and DPS are your friends. Alright, on to the next encounter, and dealing with prowlers and mini spawns on the way. So the next encounter here, we definitely want to hold this door. And there are two variants of this encounter. In this variant, we have to run into a little room on the right down there and press a button. And there's another variant of this encounter where you don't have to enter that room, you just have to deal with a bunch of enemies in this large room. This video shows the harder of the two encounters. So Dale is going to stay behind and hold that door, while Killer and I go and press that button. I'm going with him because he needs support, because there are a bunch of enemies that spawn in here and it's tight quarters. So we press the button and get the hell out of there, back to where the door was being held. And now we just let the enemies funnel towards us, get suppressed by whatever means we're using, and get killed by a DPS. Trust me, you absolutely do not want to be in that room having that encounter. In between waves, you can rush out and get ammo if you're short, but again, make sure somebody stays behind to hold that door. Okay, we're getting pretty close to the end of the first mission here. So this is the final room. Unfortunately, we can't hold the door in this room. We will have to gather at the front to start the encounter. But once the encounter starts, we are going to retreat backwards to the two areas shown here and deal with most of the encounter back in this area of the elevator room. So go ahead and deal with the mini spawns, pick up some equipment. You can lay down mines or static grids or cryo grids to help slow down enemies that do happen to get back into this area. Have somebody trigger the encounter, and then everybody heads backwards to the rear of the elevator. As you can see, we place turrets high up on the railings. Again, the higher they are, that's harder for the aliens to destroy them. At about the 60 or 70 second mark, you will get a warrior. Deal with him with your suppression abilities, your suppression gadgets, your DPS. Try to avoid getting killed outright like an idiot, like I did here. Which does bring up the good point that only one person needs to complete the mission, and everybody will get credit for completing the mission, even if you're dead, as I am. At around the 10-second mark, you can start making your way forward to get into that elevator, doing your best to avoid spitters and any other boss enemies that have spawned. As you can see, Dale didn't make it, he died, and Killer actually got killed by a warrior, but he's in the elevator. But you know what? A mission complete on Insane is a mission complete, and we're going to take it. So here we are in Act 1, Mission 2. This time Dale is playing Doc, which means we have a Demolisher, a Gunner, and a Doc. Doc's health station with suppression ability and a large radius is very, very helpful in many of these levels, and you'll see us use it a lot, probably about half the runs. And as you can see, we're still running Ammo Hoarder. So here's the first major encounter, and we do want to make sure we keep this door, just so that we can deal with the initial wave of enemies that are in the room. Once those enemies are dealt with, we're all going to go into the room, and then after the encounter is triggered, we're all going to run into this hallway here. And I'll show you in normal speed us making our way to that hallway, just so you know where it is. So again, pick up your supplies, trigger the encounter, and then this is the route we use to get back to that hallway I mentioned.
I'm glad you're here. I can see all my monitors now. Wait.
This little dog leg in the hallway is really useful as it bunches all the enemies up, especially if there's a suppression station or other suppression methods present. And you guessed it, we're just going to wait here while all the enemies come to this point and we're going to kill them. The spitters especially have trouble shooting around the corner, so this is a really good area to avoid them. Once it's done, we actually need to exit behind us, but we're running back into the room to refresh our ammo. This is a little dangerous as there are going to be more enemy spawns when we do this. So if you do it, be quick, get the ammo, and then get out of there as quick as you can. At the bottom of these stairs is another door you want to keep while someone runs into the hallway, triggers more enemies, then runs back. Again, as one of you is cutting this door, there's going to be enemies that spawn behind, so be prepared for that, get ready for it. You do want to keep this door.
The halls between you and me are 120 below zero, so.
And then be careful doing what we're trying to do here, which is rush into the room, grab the ammo, and then rush back out. As you can see, it didn't go well. So in this room, the mechanic is somebody has to go find the valve, then attach the valve, then crank the valve. So we're holding that door open while Killer goes to look for the valve and I go cover him, or try to. Once you've found the valve, put the valve on, but don't start cranking it. The act of putting it on spawns a bunch of enemies, and everyone's going to want to come back to the door that we kept. After we've killed all the enemies, we can go back down and crank that handle safely. Again, keep this door, have somebody go forward, trigger the enemies, then come back to safety. You definitely want to keep this door open. Have everyone else go in, collect ammo, whatever else they need, and trigger the encounter. But make sure somebody stays behind. In this encounter, we're going to have a whole range of normal enemies, and we're also going to have Monica, the white alien, turning up. It'll take a little while for the enemies to get to you here. You'll see them coming slowly on the minimap. Just be patient, let them come to you. You're in no hurry.
Get out of there! Oh, God!
Okay, Monica has spawned. Here she comes. You do need to remove about half of Monica's health for her to despawn, but no matter how much damage you do, you can't actually kill her in this section. As you can see at this point, her health bar is not changing, but we have done enough damage to her to complete this phase. So now you just got to clean up the remaining enemies. And then move through this large room into the next area. There will be little mini spawns that occur in this room, so just be as quick as you can to get through to the next area. Again, if there is a cache, it's probably worth getting it. The consumables are useful, especially for this last fight. Okay, here we are at the final room for Mission 2. This is another one where we can't keep a door, but we're just going to kill the initial wave of enemies before we enter the room. So for this final encounter, we're all going to stand at these three sections at the end of the room and fire towards the enemies, which will be coming the direction we're currently looking. You probably will want to place a cryo grid or static grid in this area as a safe retreat area. And then lay down every mine and turret that you've got. You've got plenty of money, there's no sense keeping them.
Mine's out.
Lots of enemies are going to run down this central hallway area, so mine that up as much as you can.
Vibration, whatever, they'll come. Be ready.
And again, place all your turrets as high as you can get them. And start the encounter. And if you have a dock suppression station, then lay that down in front of you. Spitters are going to be your main danger here, so again, prioritize those. Again, weapons that can stun or stumble an enemy are very useful, especially on spitters. Sometimes you can keep them completely stun locked and they never get to shoot at all. And when Monica spawns again, you're obviously going to have to take the remaining health that's left on her, which hopefully, if you've got enough turrets and suppression, should not be too much of an issue. So Monica spawned and is quickly dealt with, and now we just have to clean up the remaining enemies. And we get to rescue the unfortunate Honecker. I say unfortunate because it's unfortunate for us, because he's a complete pain in the backside in the next mission.
I don't have a spacesuit.
Okay, so here we are in Mission 3 of the first act. We are running Demolisher, Gunner, and Doc. And we have Honecker tagging along with us, whose sole mission in life is to get in the way of everything we do. You will need to revive Honecker if and when he goes down, but don't worry about healing him or anything like that. Just revive him if he goes down.
I can't aim for shit, but I can shoot.
So again, we're going to keep this door by having somebody stand on this side of it. And as I've said before, if you have a suppression station or any other form of suppression, lay it down. It's very useful. In this run, I'm using the Twilight rifle in addition to my grenade launcher, and that rifle has the scope that allows me to see enemies through the walls. And you'll see me use this scope quite a lot to see where the Prowler is after we've hurt him. So here he is right under us. This can help remove some surprises between encounters, so it's worth doing. This is a door you want to keep. Have somebody go ahead, trigger the enemies and come back.
Water shouldn't be toxic, but I wouldn't soak in it.
And you will have to sometimes go in multiple times to trigger multiple waves. Again, just take your time, you're in no hurry. And in this particular water room, once you get halfway through the traversal of the room, there'll be another spawn. So we're partially going to go into the room and then deal with the remaining spawn in this area here. Some spawned on Dale at the back, so we had to go deal with those. Then come back and deal with that last spawn. Then we can traverse the room safely. As you approach the exit door, you'll get a spawn at the exit door and one in this room, so just be ready for that. And here's good old Hanukkah standing in the way of everything. You do need to be a bit careful when he does that, because he will take friendly fire, so do your best to shoot around him. This is another door that you definitely want to keep. Just let the enemies come and yell at Hanukkah to get out of the way, as we were doing.
No power to the door. Get the backup generator far into the room.
So this is a holdout room, so we want to gather in this area here after the encounter has started. Just deal with the enemies that spawn in before you even start the encounter. Gather your equipment and supplies. You do all have to be fairly close to the button before it becomes active and enables you to press it. And then once pressed, retreat to that little area, put down suppression if you've got it, and again, let all the enemies come to you.
A 16 million digit cipher. Perhaps check the logs of the internet synthetics.
While you're downloading the synth data and cutting the next door, there will be enemies spawning, so somebody should be in charge of that. There's another prowler. You will often get a drone in this hallway, so deal with him before you move on to the next area. You definitely do want to keep this door. We forgot to keep this one, which meant we had to deal with the encounter inside the room, and it's much, much messier, as you can see. So, moral of the story, keep that door. You're also going to keep this door. Have somebody trigger the enemies, then deal with them as they funnel towards you. Remember, always keep an eye on your rear view mirror. They'll come up behind you.
Rolling on your position.
And keep this door. This room is one of the harder ones in the level, I think. As somebody has to run around and download data from Synths all the while stuff's spawning. So we keep this door so that there's always a safe place to retreat to and deal with the enemies that spawn. Once you've downloaded the synth data, you're going to get the prompt to unlock the exit door. The act of unlocking it, of course, will spawn more enemies, so have somebody keep an eye out on the room while that unlock's occurring. Once the door's open, keep it open while somebody triggers the enemies in the next room, and you can safely stay in this little hallway. Then you can safely traverse this room. These hallways of stairs are always a good place to get ambushed, so just be on the lookout for that.
So we're safe.
And then keep this doorway. Since this hallway is fairly long, we can actually deal with these enemies in this hallway rather than relying just on the door we kept previously. Whichever method works for you, you should use. Once you reach the hangars, you just want to keep moving. Don't stop, just run through this first hangar. Note that Killer has just spawned an enemy that springs out of a vent. He's safe though, he gets past, but anybody else that comes up behind will have to deal with them, so don't be surprised. And once you reach the second platform with the Gather on Platform prompt, and you're in the final room for this level. We are going to spend 99% of our time on that stairway. Before we go up there, we're going to grab ammo and supplies from this area, and at the very end of the level, we're going to have to run to the rear of this dropship. The final fight has 3 phases, and at the end of the first phase, someone's going to have to go down into this area and turn a valve. So before the fight starts, we're going to lay down a bunch of grids and mines to help protect the person that has to go down there and turn that valve. There's the valve that needs turning, so we're going to place a grid in front of that, and then mines up the stairs just to be doubly safe. These are the stairs we're going to spend our time on, and in fact we're going to spend almost all of the time right up against that back wall where Killer is. That's at least safe from spitters, and gives us a long corridor-like area to shoot anything that comes up the stairs. Usual story, you're going to place down turrets, suppression stations, all of that sort of good stuff. Then someone's going to go trigger the encounter. And then everyone's going to gather at that back wall and wait for the chaos to ensue. And yes, of course, Honecker will do his very best to stand in the way of everybody who needs to shoot the enemies coming up the stairs. You can see the enemies spawning and coming to us on the minimap. It's pretty consistent. And once they start to thin out, you know it's going to be time to go turn that valve, which you'll see for the pressurized hydraulics prompt. So Killer's going to go turn the valve, and I'm going to go down with him just to cover him as he's coming back, because the act of turning the valve will spawn more enemies. And we retreat to our back wall and let the enemies come to us. Then in a short order you will get another prompt right in this area where we're standing to press a button. Don't press the button until you've cleared out most of the enemies in this phase first. Okay, now you can press the button, which will spawn more enemies. And now what you want to do is kill almost all the enemies in this phase. But don't kill them all. Leave 1 or 2 or 3 spitters, as represented by the green dots on your minimap. We do this because somebody has to go press one more button. And if we kill all the enemies now, a bunch more are going to spawn, which makes pressing that button hard. So, while there's only 2 or 3 enemies left, somebody can go press that button, which will generate a bunch more enemies, but everyone can make a mad dash for the exit at that point. So here we are, down to our 2 or 3 spitters. Killer is going to head this direction towards where the button is going to spawn, while we kill the last of these few spitters. And then as soon as we get the signal clear for launch prompt, he can now press the button, and he's already in position to do that. And now he's got a good shot of evading all the enemies that have also spawned. Meanwhile, Dale and I are running towards the back of the ship and covering Killer as he runs towards us. And there you have it, mission complete of Act 1 on Insane difficulty. Hope that helps, and I'll catch you in the next one.